Hey friend, welcome back to the Becoming You podcast. I am your host, Lisa Hardy, and I am so grateful that you're here today. If you're new here, this is a space where we talk about self-love, mindset, the realities of motherhood, and rediscovering who you are beyond the expectations and noise of everyday life. And right now, we're in the middle of something really special, the Calm Mom season. A holiday series where I help moms slow down, breathe deeper, and find a little more peace in a season that can feel like a lot. Last week, we talked about finding calm in the holiday chaos, how to let go of perfection and really create more presence. And today, we're diving into something that many of us feel this time of year, the pressure to be merry. And I want to be really honest with you. This episode hits much closer to home than I initially thought it would. As some of you know, my grandmother passed away a couple of days ago, and we've sort of been in this emotional whirlwind of sadness, grief, love, tenderness, fatigue, and gratitude even. And it's been all wrapped up together. And while the holidays are approaching and we've got lights and music and cheer, a huge part of my heart feels really heavy right now. And maybe you're there too. Maybe it's not with grief, but with something else like stress or burnout or overwhelm, loneliness, mom guilt, relationship challenges, financial pressure, being stretched too thin. But everywhere you look, someone is saying, smile, be cheerful. It's the holidays. As if we can just flip some sort of switch. As if being human suddenly pauses because we're getting closer and closer to December. We don't talk enough about how complicated this season can be emotionally, especially for moms. And that's what this episode is here for. So let's get into it. There's something interesting about the holidays, right? It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. That's the messaging everywhere, right? We see it in stores, on TV, we hear it on the radio. But for many women, especially moms, this is actually one of the most emotionally layered, overwhelming, and demanding seasons that we go through. And yet we feel that pressure to be cheerful, to be grateful, to be on, to keep it together, to put everyone else's holidays experience first. And the moment we feel tired or sad or stressed or emotional, we judge ourselves. We think, I should be happier. I should be more grateful. I shouldn't feel this way around the holidays. I don't want to bring the mood down. I don't want to be a burden. So we tuck away our feelings like there's something shameful and put on a smile. This is what I call performative joy. It's the I'm fine smile, right? It's the Merry Christmas voice, the multitasking, the high functioning, the emotionally overloaded mother who is quietly falling apart as she tries to keep the show going for everyone else. And you know what? This year, I realized just how deep that pressure runs. With the passing of my grandma, that sadness is sort of woven through everything right now. We're planning a celebration of life. We're helping family. We're processing. We're grieving. We're remembering. And the holidays don't pause for that. Life doesn't pause for that. I caught myself thinking today, I don't want to ruin anybody's Christmas mood. I need to stay strong, and I don't want people to see me cry. And I often say that in front of my kids, or I at least think it in front of my kids. And I had to stop and really sit with that because my kids should be able to see me cry. Why do we feel like our emotions, a very real human experience, ruin it for other people? Why do we think our sadness is inconvenient? Why do we think we have to be merry for everyone else's sake? And here's the truth I want both of us to hear. Your emotions are not a burden. Your feelings don't ruin anything, and you do not owe the world a cheerful version of yourself. You're allowed to be a human at Christmas. You're allowed to have feelings that don't match the music and the movies. You're allowed to grieve. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed. And you're allowed to be quiet and reflective and not okay. And not only is this all normal, it's also healthy. The pressure to be merry doesn't just come from others, though yes, sometimes people will say things like, come on, cheer up, or don't be sad it's Christmas, or try to stay positive. I highly dislike that one, by the way. But a lot of the pressure, it actually comes from ourselves, from wanting to protect our kids' happiness, from wanting to make everything feel special, from wanting to create memories, from wanting to be a good mom, a good partner, a good daughter, a good friend, from wanting not to disappoint people. We think we have to be this emotional thermostat for everyone else, keeping the temperature warm, joyful, festive, and bright, even when inside it feels like a giant snowstorm. And that internal tug of war that we're all going through, it's exhausting. It is purely exhausting. And with that, I want to share something personal. You know what? Even now, I'm catching myself trying not to cry, but I should let it if it needs to come out. The last day my grandmother was here, my sister and I were sitting with her on what would be her final day. We just didn't know it. You know that moment where everything feels still? It wasn't joyful. It wasn't festive. It wasn't merry. But it was real and it was honest. And it was full of so much love. And that's when I realized that those moments matter just as much as the joyful ones. This idea that the holidays have to be bright and cheerful every second is not only unrealistic, it's harmful. Life still happens in December. People still pass away. Relationships still struggle. Mental health still dips. Kids still have meltdowns. Bills still come. Work is still stressful. Family conflict can still exist. Loneliness still hits harder. And grief still shows up uninvited. And pretending none of that exists because we're supposed to be merry, it only makes us feel more alone. So if you're listening to this and you're carrying something heavy right now, I want you to know something. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to smile through it. And you don't have to fake joy you're not feeling. You're allowed to show up exactly as you are. And let's talk about moms for a second, because I feel like we carry more emotional pressure during the holidays than anyone wants to admit, right? We are often the ones managing the gifts, planning the meals, showing up to every event, decorating the house, mediating everyone's emotions, softening every conflict, absorbing everyone's stress, and still try to look cheerful, photogenic, and be present. And somewhere in all of that, we think we're not allowed to have our own feelings. If moms are sad, the whole house feels it. If moms are tired, the whole house reacts. If moms are overwhelmed, well, everyone notices. So then we think, I can't show how I feel. I can't cry. I can't be down. I have to look like I have it all together. But this creates something really dangerous. Emotional suppression in the name of holiday spirit. And suppressed emotions, they always leak somewhere, right? It's irritability. It's tears we didn't expect. And it's exhaustion and resentment and shutting down. You aren't meant to carry everything alone. You aren't meant to pretend. You aren't meant to be cheerful on demand. You aren't meant to be merry 24/7. You're meant to be real. You're meant to be human. Your kids don't need to see you be cheerful. They need you connected. Your family doesn't need to be perfect. They just need your presence. Your friends don't need you bubbly. They just need you to be authentic. And you don't need to be anything other than you are today. One of the most powerful things we could do this season is to give ourselves permission to feel, to let the sadness be there, to let the joy be there, to let the overwhelm be there, to let the gratitude be there, to let the grief be there. All of this can coexist, right? Feelings don't cancel each other out. They simply sit beside one another. You can miss someone that you've lost and still experience moments of joy. You can feel overwhelmed and still laugh with your kids. You can grieve and still enjoy the lights or music or the quiet beauty of winter. You can be tired and still love your family deeply. You're allowed to feel both, okay? You're allowed to be a full human. And I want to say something gently, but directly. If you're feeling the pressure to be merry from family, friends, from tradition, from social media, I want you to remember this. You're allowed to set emotional boundaries during the holidays. It's okay to say, I'm not up for a big gathering this year. Or I need a quieter Christmas morning. Or how about I don't have emotional capacity for that event? Or even I'm not going to force myself to be cheerful today. And for me, I'm feeling heavy and it's okay. Your peace matters too, your heart matters too, and your experience matters too. You don't have to perform joy. You can simply live the truth of where you are. And you know what? Sometimes that honesty creates deeper connection than any forced festivity ever could. Before we wrap up, I want to give you something to take away this week. A reminder, a grounding thought. And this is something I also said on last week's episode, and it's that you don't create the magic, you are the magic. And I'm saying this again because it's something I wholeheartedly believe. And I want you to remember that that doesn't mean that you have to be married. It means your authenticity, your presence, your love, even in your hard moments, is what your family will remember. Not the perfect tree, not the perfect gifts, not the perfect mood. You, all of you, even the emotional, tired, grieving, overwhelmed parts, especially those parts, because that's where your heart lives, and your heart is what your family feels the most. If this episode resonated with you, I want to remind you of something really exciting. The Joyful Mom Collective is now open, and this is exactly the type of support we dive into. Real conversations about motherhood, boundaries, guilt, self-love, and everything that holds women back from feeling like themselves. It's going to be a space for calm, connection, and community. And truly, it's the perfect Christmas gift for yourself. Because you deserve support, tools, and a place to be held, not just during the holidays, but all year long. If you want more details, you can click the link in the show notes below. But my friends, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for letting me be honest and vulnerable with you today. You are not alone in how you feel. You don't have to force joy. You don't have to perform. You just have to be you, and that is more than enough. I'll see you next week for the third part of the Calm Mom Season Holiday Series. And until then, take care of your hearts. Let yourself feel whatever you feel. And remember, you are worth showing up for. Always. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week on the Becoming You podcast.